Okay, so let's actually get into this. So I'm really glad that you were down to come on to the stream and talk. Dude, the way that we ended up interacting, you popped into one of my streams one day, and like, let's just be real. I saw your name and you had the little verified thing next to it, and I was like, oh, what the heck? You were the first person that came into my stream that was like has been verified on Twitch. Partner, yeah, that's what they call it. And so I was like, oh, what the heck? And then we started talking, and then that day we got you in a game of Among Us, and then I mean, since then we've been friends. Like we talk pretty frequently.
Yeah, well, I've followed you on Instagram for like 4 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I stumbled across you, but I saw I saw one of your posts of like before, and I think it was when you were still losing weight and you were cutting. And I unfollow a lot of people on Instagram, and you were one of the ones that stayed. I'm like, man, this guy's story is really interesting, and it was impressive. But you know, you're just one of Joe Rogan, you know, all the big dogs sitting in my Insta. And then one day I saw you're on Twitch, and I'm like, I'm on Twitch. I got to check this out. And I was like, hey, and because you talk to people, because I just got on Twitch, and I was like, hey man, you're like, hey dude. Next thing you're playing Among Us, and here we are. It's glorious. Christmas.
So I do want to kind of go into that. So I think it's interesting. I think what would make the most sense is if you could explain like why you stream on Twitch, because I think that your story there is interesting, and then maybe if you could talk about why even my story resonates with you at all. I think that would make the most sense.
Yeah, the Twitch thing happened. For those of you that don't know me, Chad, I've been working as an actor
we should probably
25 years.
And so you're a great actor, and you're handsome, and yeah.
No, it's kind of been my career. You know, I've been living in LA for the last 11 years, just grinding it out. I was grinding it out for 15 years, and I picked up, you know, a fair amount of work along the way, but there's still a lot of work to do, as there always is. And a few years ago, I did a game. Twitch is like a gaming platform, and quite a following came with the game that I worked on, and people kept saying, "Oh, do you stream? Do you stream?" And I'm just, what is this streaming you're talking about? And you know, I knew Netflix and what have you. I didn't really know about Twitch or streaming on YouTube for that matter. One of my really good friends, his cousin was like Twitch streamer, and he's like, man, you should try it. He does it, and he's got all these people that follow him, and he tried to explain what it was, and I didn't know. Anyway, I went, oh, whatever. I downloaded it on my phone, and one day we were shooting a short film, me and my buddy. He's a voice in another video game, and afterwards we were having a beer and playing Batman. And I said, should I turn the Twitch on? He goes, yeah, turn it on. So we turned it on, and we were playing Batman, and I had my iPhone like set up looking at the screen with us sitting in front of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you know, I'd set up the account or whatever, and we had like 110 people there having a ball, and it kind of just organically grew from there. I got an Xbox and started streaming through that, and a little webcam, and it's just kind of grown, and it's great. You know, working as an actor, you don't really get to interact with an audience as frequently as you do with something like streaming.
Oh, dude, yeah, 100%.
You know, and I've always made my own content. It's more been film-based content, which, you know, you've done like a lot more sort of content creation, which there is a lot more involvement and interaction. Whereas film, it's not really quite the same. So Twitch has been amazing, you know, to find my audience who like what I do, and I guess build that community. And I'm still learning a lot as I go. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm getting better.
A lot. There's a lot to learn. I know that you have to be a little bit cryptic, but like I just kind of want to like you are a voice in a popular video game. Yep. And what's really cool about your stream is that you can play as that character, and it's your voice. So you hear you talking, and then the character's voice is the same. Like it's such a trippy experience, and I can only imagine someone that loves the game, especially if they're like, that's my favorite character to use, and they can see the person whose voice it is playing it. Like it's a trip, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, I've done a few video games. I've done three or four video games now. And it's strange. It's a strange experience because for film work, like, you watch yourself on screen and you're not really going to sit there watching your films over and over and over again. That would be a bit weird.
That would be very weird.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there are actors that do it. But I don't. I'm not one of them. But with gaming, if you happen to perform in a game that you like, you're going to play it. I did, Call of Duty, and you do the campaign, and you hear your voice, and it's kind of wild because, especially if you're playing as the character.
How did you get into like voice acting for video games? Like, how did that even come about?
Like all my work, I started out acting. I did drama school, I think, for 8 years, from when I was 12 until about 21 or 22. And then I did a lot of random courses, and I did some voiceover and accent courses. And then when I finished drama school, my cousin was actually the director of drama for Australian Broadcasting Corporation. It's called ABC Radio. It's like ABC in America, but in Australia. And she'd occasionally get me in for radio plays and poetry readings and things like that. And then that kind of took off and moved into more commercial work. I had an agent that used to get me commercial work. So in Australia, I was doing a lot of that. And then moving to the States, I got a voiceover agent straight away and started being submitted to commercial work and video games. But it is fun. There's something special about it.
Yeah. How long is the process? Is it like one day you're like saying all the lines? Like, how does that work? I know we're getting into this, but it's just interesting to me. Like,
yeah, I mean, I've had different experiences on the different games that I've worked on. It really depends. It depends what sort of game it is. But yeah, generally you'll go in for as much time as it takes to record, depending on the game. If it's a one-off game, you might do it once. If it's an ongoing game, you might get called in for more work. It all kind of depends.
So I kind of want to get into like how you found me and why you would even be interested in following someone that has lost a lot of weight, because I know that you have your own like weight loss story. So I'd love to hear that story as well. I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah. So I think I honestly can't remember how I came across your page. I may have even been Googling loose skin or something. I may have found a YouTube video. I honestly can't remember. It was quite a long time ago. It was when I was living in LA. And the reason it would have been interesting to me is when I was a teenager at school, I had parents that just kind of, in a very loving way, left me to my own devices. They're like, you go out and explore the earth on your own. And, I think I told them from a very young age, oh, I will make my decisions in my life. And they're like, okay. So I didn't really have much discipline when it came to food. And I remember I'd always go shopping with Dad on Saturdays. And he grew up in war-torn England in the 40s or late 30s. Mid-30s, and Jeez. They were very sort of, tight with rationing and tight with their money, and as a necessity, he's a very generous man, but he never went and just filled the fridge with abundances of unnecessary food. And so I remember as a kid always going into the fridge and there wasn't that much food, and what was there, I would eat it in a day because of, I don't know why, probably some trauma I had of not getting food for a couple of days when I was very, very young. And so then I'd have a week with there just wouldn't be enough food for my liking in the fridge. And I remember I'd go around to friends' houses and I'd eat a double dinner. I'd eat dinner at their house, and then I'd come home and eat whatever was cooked for me at home. And after school, I'd find a little bit of spare change and go and buy a bag of, we call them mixed lollies, but candies. And I knew nothing about nutrition. That was one thing. I'd never been taught anything. I didn't know what a carb was. I didn't really know what fat was. I didn't know what protein was. I didn't learn that until I was in my 20s. But anyway, I had a very sort of chubby period of time as a teenager at school, and I got teased a lot, which was just awful. I really had I found it very, very hurtful, because at the time it was something I had no control over. I didn't have the knowledge to know, how to change it, how to lose weight. I was always super active. I played sports every day. And I was probably very fit, but I ate, like I gobbled it up. And I was never like big, but I was chubby. I remember like every time I take my top off from the age of probably 12 to 17, being very, very self-conscious, and just not knowing what to do. I had a huge growth spurt. I was a tiny little kid, little chubby redhead, freckles, bad teeth. I had it all. And I had a growth spurt when I was about 17, and I lost a lot of the weight. And then in my early 20s, I think I went through my first heartbreak, and it just tore me to pieces. And I went partying for a couple of years and put myself through the ringer. And then when that started taking its toll, I was like, all right, you gotta fix yourself. And I was working with an amazing counselor at the time, who was one of the best teachers I'd ever had. And I think he wanted to like ground me, and he's like, you need to eat properly. I want you to eat lots of solid foods. I don't know, do we have Magnum ice creams in America?
Yes.
He's like, I want you to eat Magnum ice creams, meat pies. It's actually a line from one of the jobs I worked on, which comes back to haunt me a lot. Just these really sort of calorie dense foods, pastries, and I blew up. I think I was like 70 kilos. You're going to have to do the maths into pounds. And I blew up to 100 in 6 months. And I was such a mess at the time, just within myself, that I knew it was happening, but I didn't really know. I was smoking cigarettes at the time, and I was very, very unhealthy and very miserable. But I still had this burning desire, like, I want to be a movie star. I want to be an actor. Like, it's what I've always wanted to do. It's just been my...
Were you trying to act at that time? And was that like kind of, do you feel like that was causing you issues or?
No, I think I was at drama school at the time.
Okay.
And I was I've always been so committed to my craft, and I've always put everything into it with the resources and knowledge that I've had available at any given time. But I think it was second year drama school, I kept booking work. I was getting lots of really good jobs, and you're not supposed to work when you're at drama school because they want you to be focused on your studies. But I was like, that's the only reason I'm here, is to
work.
Work. Funnily enough, I'm one of the only ones still going. I was a bit of a ragamuffin at the time. I actually got kicked out of drama school, and then a year later they let me back in. But through this time, I was just gobbling up whatever I wanted and being a couch potato. And then I booked a commercial for Nesquik. Nestle Quick. Do you have Quick in America?
Yeah, Nesquik, yeah.
The most delicious thing in the world.
Is it the rabbit? Is the rabbit still the mascot? Okay, yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Same.
So in Australia, we have this stuff called Milo, which if you're in California, you can go to a coffee shop chain, Australian, called Bluestone Lane, and they actually serve Milo. And it's like Quick, but it's chunkier and crunchier. And that's what I was gobbling down to get quite large. And anyway, so I got this commercial for Nesquik. Before this commercial was shot, for the few months leading up to it, I'd been saying to my mum, am I getting fat? Like, you know you are, but you're in denial. You're all messed up in the head. She's like, no, you're gorgeous. Putting on weight. Don't be ridiculous. She just
can't trust the mom. Can't trust the mom.
Like mum she just wanted me to feel loved and happy. Anyway, this is when VHSs were around, and I done the commercial. It got sent to me in the mail. And I'm like, Mum, the commercial's here. I can put it on my show reel. Should we watch it? And she's like, oh, yeah. So we sit down. We have a little screening of a 15-second commercial. Wally down the street. Tastes good, but... And it freeze frames on me like this. I'll get the right angle. Right? But back then, it was like this. And it just went like... At night, and I turned around and I go, Mum, you've been lying to me. And she's like, what? I go, I've got 9 bloody chins. She goes, oh, you look lovely. And that night, the second I saw that commercial, everything changed. I went and got for whatever reason, I was getting an acupuncture session the next day, and the Eastern medicinal practitioner, I said to her, how do I lose weight? I feel like I'm getting fat. And she said, what do you eat? Do you eat a lot of carbs, protein? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking
yeah, you're
about.
like, food? I don't know.
She goes, what did you eat yesterday? And I said, 3 coffees and 14 toasted ham, cheese, and tomato sandwiches. She's like, do you put sugar in your coffee? And I went, yep. And she goes, how much sugar? And I said, 2.5 teaspoons of coffee. And she goes, do you know how long it takes you to burn off a teaspoon of sugar? And I went, no. And she goes, you would have to run for 45 minutes. And I said, I don't run. And she goes, oh dear. Do you butter the bread? And I go, yes. Both sides? Yes. Do you eat, let me guess, white bread? Yes. How much cheese do you put in? 2 slices per sandwich. She just goes, oh my God. Anyway, she goes, look, we're nearly finished for the session, but there's 3 macronutrients. She didn't call them that. Proteins, fats, carbs. You probably don't ever want to eat a carbohydrate again. I think you've had enough to last you a lifetime. I go, what do I eat? And she wrote a really quick meal plan. Every single day for about 3 years, I started working out every day, overnight, and started eating. I just remember my lunch meals, and the other meals were kind of similar. I think it was eggs for breakfast, for lunch, a tin of tuna, a cucumber, a can of corn, tinned corn, delicious. I'd drink the juice too. And maybe like sliced up tomatoes, salt and pepper. That was it.
So
and
that's
I'd
like
have a similar meal.
It's so funny hearing you say that, because like I joke about it all the time, but I'm not a chef and I don't try to be, so my meals are so basic. People just like don't believe me. I'm like, I'm telling you, man, basic food that you will commit to actually making, and as long as it tastes good to you, like maybe I wouldn't drink the juice from a corn thing, but Martin would, so it worked for him.
Delicious.
You know what I mean?
I'd also drink the tuna juice too. I'm not lying.
Oh no, you did not.
Yeah. Salt.
Oh,
it's
my
basically salt water. I loved it. But yeah, that was it. That was the first time I went, because I used to smoke cigarettes. When I stopped smoking cigarettes, I was like, I've got to start running. And I started running. I've slowed down now because I was just getting too skinny, but I've run consistently for the last 17 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever done any races, like half marathon, anything like that?
No, I did a half marathon. No, I think it's called the Portsea Twilight. I think it's 6.7 kilometers.
Oh, like a 10K?
Yeah, and I was beating professional triathletes when I did it.
Jeez.
I remember a girl I knew was like a proper professional triathlete, and I smoked her. So I got pretty into it. I love running. Running's just, to me, magic.
Yeah.
But I am trying to cut back a bit on it.
So, like, for you, I'm kind of curious about, so, like, you ate like that for, you said it was like a few years. What have you, like, learned since that point? Like, would you do that now, or, like, what have you changed since eating, like, canned tuna and corn? Yeah,
so through that, I mean, I've done so many different styles of eating. I don't really want to call them diets, but, I've done keto. I did keto solidly, and when I do something, I commit 100%. So I did keto exactly as I learnt it at the time, which was, trick your body into complete ketosis. And I think I did 2 weeks just fat and meat, and started getting tremendous results. I got shredded. I did it for 3 months, but I remember, I think on the second week after I tricked my body into keto, it said, now you've got to cut like carb load for 1 day. You have to. And I mean, I went to the supermarket and I bought a huge thing of Cocoa Pops, which I think are Cocoa Puffs in America.
Yeah.
2 liters of chocolate milk. And I sat in bed on a Sunday and ate the whole thing. And that was just a tiny portion, because my body's just going, like, feed me. Man, I had blisters all over my tongues from the amount of salt that was in that shit. It's crazy. So I've tried a lot of different, ways of getting in shape, and I'm very committed at the gym. I go to the gym, at least 6 days a week. And I've gotten so far, I've got into very good shape, but I've never been able to look in the mirror and went, you got the body you want, And it's interesting, I think when we were talking a month ago, I said, what's the best book on nutrition you've ever read? And you mentioned the David Goggins one, and I listened to that. And then I did some more research, and I've been studying meal plans and how to really change your body composition. And I've been eating what I would consider now a really healthy meal plan for the last 2 weeks. It's to cut. I want to see what my body looks like when I've just got rid of all excess body fat, and I actually can't believe it. I'm eating cleaner, better, more carbohydrate than I've eaten in years, because I've been pretty much keto based for a few years, and I'm looking in the mirror and my body just looks like shit. You know?
So when
now I've got energy, it's great.
When you started adding in like the carbs, like basically switching off of keto, was that hard for you mentally? Like, was that like a struggle?
I'd gotten pretty fixed in my head, like that carbs were the devil. If I'm honest. But I was also very aware that I was highly lacking in nutritional knowledge. As much as I knew, and I knew a lot, I knew more than your average bear. Like, I've been able to keep in pretty good shape now consistently for 17 years. I've never gotten fat. I know there's no chance of that ever happening again. But I wasn't good enough to really change my body composition to the way where I can look in the mirror and go, hell yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I don't want to cut you off, but I think like that's such an important point, man, because like there are so many people, and like this is myself too. Like, I'm not trying to say I'm better than anyone, but like there are so many people that, like, if you look on Instagram or YouTube, that have lost a lot of weight themselves.
Yep.
But you can tell
on bananas.
No. That too. But like, they've lost a lot of weight themselves, but you can tell, at least I can tell by talking to them, they have no idea how they did it actually. Like, if you were to actually talk to them, they will almost say something similar to what you did at the beginning of eating corn and tuna, and like they just did that. And I'm like, yeah, that stuff will work, but
to an extent.
Exactly. Like, what's after that, right? And like the fact that you were able to see that, and you're able to admit it to yourself, I think is important.
Yeah,
because a lot of people, when you get the results of losing 100 pounds or whatever it might be, you think, oh, I know what to do. I know what works. It's like, you know what works to lose weight. But if you get to a point where you've lost the weight and now you're looking at your body, or maybe even you're thinking about your performance, and you're like, man, I'm not performing the way that I want, or I don't look the way that I want to look. It's like, there's more to weight loss. There's more to being fit and being healthy than just weight loss. It's about adding in some muscle. It's about like performing better in the gym, stuff like that. So that's why I get frustrated when I see people that you can tell that they just lost weight, and they think that the way they lost weight is the only way that you can lose weight. Like, that's why, like, you've been talking about keto, and like, I personally for me, I don't want to ever try keto. Like, I like carbs, but I try to do my best. I'm not the best at it, but I try to do my best not to make someone feel bad if that's something that they're doing,
Yeah.
Like, I'll make jokes and stuff, but I won't truly be like, you're an idiot if you're doing keto. Like, if it works for you, then it works for you. But I think like it's so important to understand, like, just because it worked for you at that moment, like, to lose weight doesn't mean that that's what you need to stick to for the rest of your life,
Absolutely. And I think you're right. And I think there's different sort of stages of physical development and transformation. And I think, stage one, if you're overweight, is losing weight. Get that fat off you, because it will kill you. And that could be metaphorically. It will make you tired. It will make you not want to exercise. It will make you not as attractive to the partners you want to make. There's just a whole string of things that come with it. And getting that weight off, cut out the majority of the crap, and you'll do it. Most people to lose weight, stop eating junk food, get off the sugary drinks, eat as much. And I would say to anyone who's really overweight, eat as much like corn and tinned tuna and whatever as you want, as long as you're not eating burgers and pizzas and pie, that will get you potentially out of the danger zone, and maybe get you to fit into the clothes you want.
Yeah.
But then, and I saw it from watching you, like, you shredded down. It was incredible what you did. But then all of a sudden, your arms just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, it's because of the roids.
Yeah, exactly.
And the banana diet. But No, but and I really you know, I've known that I had enough knowledge to get to a certain point, and it served me for a while. But man, I'm auditioning to have fight scenes against. I went for an audition to go for a fight scene against Jason Momoa, and I walked into the audition and I'm like, yeah, my headshot looks like the guy they want. But I wore 3 t-shirts in there going, I hope casting doesn't notice that I'm maybe not quite as big as him. Come on. You know, and and the sort of auditions that I get are moving more into that realm of, you know, those leading characters. And
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I don't have the size. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, in my opinion, I'm not big enough to sort of do the work that I want to do. And so, you know, I saw your arms growing. You're like, I'm eating carbs. And another thing that I found really helpful was you being so comfortable within your skin. Because, you know, I don't have like a lot of loose skin, but there's a bit there, you know, and I've always been super self-conscious of it. And I've thought about having surgery. And I did the what was it? The cool freeze. Whatever.
Oh yeah,
cool,
yeah, one of those.
Cool sculpt, cool
Cool
sculpting.
scoped. Yeah.
You know, and it all helped. It all did bits, but nothing like learning about nutrition, learning what my, you know, BMR is, and then, you know, how much extra energy I'm expending through my workouts, and then realizing like what my macro balance should be, and realizing what kind of deficit I should be in to strip healthily,
Mm-hmm.
and still be getting, you know, the sustenance that my body needs, you know. And I've never had that before, and I think that's the next phase of body transformation for me, is going, I'm going to master this, you know. I'm going to cut, and then I'm going to bulk, and I'm going to do it safely with knowledge, so that I'm confident that I really do know what I'm doing. And it takes a lot of work, and that's, I'm super excited to be taking measurements and weighing myself. And man, I got a set of kitchen scales in there, and to the gram I measure my balsamic vinegar. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't go off my meal plan, and if I do, I know about it and I'm prepared to take the hit. But I think it's the only way that I'm ever going to get myself to a place where I feel in control, like really in control of sculpting myself in the way that I want to. And a lot of it is for vanity, and it is for work, you know?
Yeah, so I kind of want to talk about. I know that you have something really cool coming up. So you have your own movie coming out, correct?
Yep.
Would you?
Yep,
Is
yep.
that what it would be called? Would it be called your own movie? I don't
Yeah,
know
The
how
Dunes.
that all works. All right, cool. So yeah,
I
tell us about
I wrote
that.
it and directed it.
So is this the first movie that you've written and directed that's like going to be releasing?
Yeah. I've made short films before. I've worked as a producer on feature films, but they haven't been my film. They haven't been my project. But this is the first full-length feature film that I've written, directed, produced, starred in. And it's been going for 4 years. I wrote it after my mum passed away about 4 years ago, and I went through a breakup with this girl that I was seeing, and I was just, you know, you hit those points where you're going through a lot. And in the past, I may have gone out and, you know, had big nights on the town and chased too many ladies and done all you know, all the silly things that we do when we're distracting ourselves from actually dealing with our problems. And so I wrote a film that's, you know, it's a cautionary tale about when you have issues arise in your life, deal with them swiftly, efficiently, and gracefully, or they'll compound. And this is the cautionary tale of what happens to a guy when he doesn't, you know. And the other thing, you know, that's what the film's about. But also for me, with everything I was going through, I went, I'm in a bit of a pickle within myself right now. I need to work through this. What's the best way that I can do it that's going to help me, help others, and hopefully, you know, contribute to the greater good? And it was, do something positive, you know, focus this into your art. Don't do any self-destructive things. Don't overeat. Don't drink too much. Don't go out chasing all the ladies. Don't all the things that I used to do to distract myself. And it's been a long 4 years, not because I've been grappling with any of that stuff, but because making a film's, it's a challenge. Yeah, you know, and it's nearly done. I'm just doing the end credits at the moment. So yeah, I'm really excited to put it out there and see where it goes.
Sweet, man.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to like see it on like Netflix and be like, all right, cool, man. bloop, just watch it at home or something like that. That'd be crazy.
We'll probably do a screening on Discord or something first.
Yeah. We definitely have to do that for sure. Like whenever you want, like we can definitely figure something out. But sweet, man. I mean, I appreciate you taking the time to talk. Is there anything else that you would like? I like to ask this question before I end like these like conversations. If there was like one thing you could say to either, you know, your former self or someone that was in your position when you first started like losing weight, and basically like for you it's less just about losing weight but taking like actually control of your life, right? Like what would you say to that person or yourself?
No one's going to give it to you. Whatever you want in your life, no one's going to give it to you, and if they do, you're not going to appreciate it. I think, you know, with anything that you really want, whether it's happy relationships or you know, a body that you feel comfortable in for whatever your purposes are, you know, financial freedom, whatever it is, if you don't go out and learn how to do it yourself, and then put what you've learned into practice, you'll be in the same spot you are until you do. And you know, watching my mum die 4 years ago, mum had a really sad drinking problem, which ultimately killed her. And watching my dad now, who has dementia, you know, I know for myself personally, I do not want to get to, you know, the end of my life, even if that's tomorrow. I don't want to get to tomorrow and look back and go, I should have done it. I should have done it. I don't ever want to have regret. And I think the only insurance policy against that is don't waste a second. If there's something that you want to do, if there's something you want to say to somebody, you got to just do it, you know? And I think the level of self-respect that comes with that is astonishing. You know, I've really started getting the hang of it in the last few years, and I'm proud to just be me now, you know? So that would be my advice. Do it. No one's going to do anything for you. And if they do, you don't want it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it makes sense. It explains all those weird texts you send me all the time. You're like, I guess like he has to say it. You can't.
I love you, man. I love you so much.